Hello guys, welcome to another video. This one is paper 2-1 of November 2020. Okay, so with that being said, let's move on to question number 1. So here we have some information about a holiday. As you can see, 7 night, it is 340 per person. So one person for 7 night, it is 340. Okay, now this also have a discount of 8% if you book before the 31st of March. That is a discount for that condition. Okay, so anyways, let's move on to the question, right? So on 15th of February, Nassim books this holiday for 2 people. But also, we notice something is on 15th of February. So which means he booked before 31st of March, so he has a discount of 8%. So calculate the total cost of his holiday. So pretty easy. So for one person it is 340, for 2 person will be 2 times 340. But now he is having a discount of 8%. You have to multiply by 0.92. Okay, so let's see what do we get. So 2 times 340 times 0.92. That will be 625.6. That will be the price he will be paying for the holiday. So now I understand this could be kind of confusing. So why did I do this? Because if you observe, what is 8%? 8% is 8 over 100. That is 0.08. So we consider the initial price before discount to be 100%. Okay? So after you receive a discount of 8%, so minus 8%, we know that it will be 92% remaining. So that will be 0.92. So just to find the price directly, we can just take the initial price, multiply by 92%, because we know that's the price remaining after minus the 8%. So you will get the answer directly. But anyways, if that doesn't make sense for you, no big deal. You can go back doing the normal way, which is you can just do that. Look, you first find the price. That will be what? 2 times 340, that will be 680. Now you know that he will be receiving a discount of 8%, so you do 8% times 680. Okay, this is the discount, right? So 8% times 680, that will be 54.4. Now the price he will pay will be the initial price minus discount to get the price. So 680 minus answer, that will be 625.6. So both method will give you the same answer. That will be part A. Now for part B, Nassim hires a car for his holiday. The total cost is $241.50. Okay. The cost includes a 15% tax. Okay. Calculate the cost of hiring the car excluding tax or before taxes. So one thing we can do here is we can call the price before tax to be X and the price after tax to be 241.5. So as we have explained, we always consider the initial price to be 100%, right? But now we know that tax is 15%, so plus 15%, that will be 115%. So as you can see, we can use ratios to find the value of X. So let's try. So 115% represents 241.50. Now what is the price of 100%, which we want to find because that represents X? That will be 241 over 50. So 0.50 divided by 115% multiplied by 100%. So these two cancel out, and then we can just multiply those. 241.50 115 times 100. That will be 210 as the price before taxes. So 210 will be the price. Okay. Now for part C, Nasim drives a total of 800 km for the holiday. Okay. He uses a total of 29.6 liters of fuel. Now calculate the average rate of fuel used per 100 km. Okay. So let's see. We know that he used 29.6 liters for 800 km. So how can we change this to 100 km? So 800 becoming 1, we have to divide by 8 on both sides. You will have 29.6 divided by 8. That will be 3.7. And that will be 100 km. So basically it means that he will use 3.7 liters per 100 km, and this is exactly what we want to find for the answer. So you will write this correct to 3SF. Okay, and that will be part C of the question. Now let's move on to part D. Nasim changes 450 to euros, dollars to euros. Okay, the exchange rate between dollars and euros is $1 to 0.82. Okay, that is something we have to use afterwards. So let's just use it right now. Why not? So he has 450. So we know $1 is this much. So how much is 450? It will be this much euros times 450. So 0.82 times 450, that will be 369. So we know that initially he has 369 euros. Now on the holiday he spent 297, so minus 297. That will be 72 euros. So this is the amount that he has left on the holiday after the holiday. Now Nasim changes the remaining money. This is the remaining money back to dollars at this rate. Okay, so we know that 0.8 euros is $1. How much is 72 euros? That will be $1 divided by 0.8 times 72. Okay, that will be 1 divided by 0.8 times 72. That will be $90. So how many dollars? He will have $90 when he comes back. That will be question number 1. Now let's move on to question number 2. So right now we have the cumulative frequency diagram, shows the masses, the weight basically, are in grams of 60 potatoes, okay, of variety A. Okay, so that's the information given to us. Now part 1, we have to use the diagram to estimate the median. Now whenever you see the median, it means the middle value, which is half of the number of potatoes. That will be 30th element. So now you have to use your graph. As you can see, use your graph to estimate. So 30th value will be on this axis. So let's look. 30 will be right here. Okay, so you have this, and you will see that you will have the intersection at this point. You have to find the corresponding value. So according to my graph, it seems to be 188. So the median mass is 188 according to my graph. Now for part B, find the interquartile range. So it is the third quarter minus the first quarter. So let's find one by one. So what is the third quarter? It is 3/4 times 60, which is the number of potatoes. So 3/4 times 60, that is the 45th element. And what is the first quarter? It is 1/4 times 60, which is the 15th element. So one by one, let's go back to the graph. So here we have 15th will be somewhere between 10 and 20. Okay, so it should be according to the graph, this one. And 45 should be between 40 and 50. So I would say somewhere about here. So in exams, definitely you have to be more careful than I am. I'm just eyeballing this thing to see where it is approximately. So here you go, and that will be the two values. As I can see, this is the first quarter, which is 170. This is the third quartile. This is 208. So to find the range, we have to minus. So 208 minus 170, that will be 38 as my answer. Now, what's next one? So part 2, the potatoes with mass which is more than 220 are sold as baking potatoes. Okay, so we have to find the percentage of the potatoes that are sold as baking potatoes. So first, we have to find the number of potatoes which is more than 220 grams. That's the first step. So go back to the graph. This is the mass of 220. More than 220 will be this way, right? So let's first make a mark here. 10 will be up here, and here we have to find the number of potatoes, which is at this point, that will be what? 52. So we know that in total we have 60, which is more than, so we are looking for more than 220, which is everything else, which is this part, which is this number of potatoes between those two. 60 minus 52, that will be 8. So basically, we only have 8 potatoes, which is more than 220, divided by 60, because in total we have 60 potatoes, and then multiply by 100 for the percentage. So definitely you have to show your work on the graph to get full marks, because they're looking for that in exams to show your work on the graph. So my answer will be 13.3% according to my graph and everything. Now let's move on to question part 3. The masses of 60 potatoes of variety B, so we have another variety now. So for B, the median is 175 and the range is 30. So the IQR, the interquartile range, is 30 for B. Okay, Kali wants to buy potatoes that are more consistent in mass. Okay, should she choose variety A or variety B? So good question. When we are looking at the consistency of potatoes, we have to look at, so we have two choices. We can look at the median or the range. So because of consistency, we look at the range. So the IQR of A, as we have seen here, it is 38. From part 2, we have seen it is 38. So comparing those two, which one do you think will be more consistent? So we conclude that B will be more consistent because the IQR of B is less than the IQR of A. So because the IQR, it measures, what does it measure? It measures the spread of the masses. So spread means the difference in masses of the potatoes. When there's a high difference, it means that it is not consistent. Yeah, there's much more difference between potatoes. But when the difference is smaller, it means that they are kind of almost the same mass. They will be more consistent. So basically, IQR measures consistency. It also measures the spread of the masses in this case. Masses, so that's why I say mass. Now that will be part 3 of the question. Now for part B, the table shows the masses M of 120. Now we have a variety C, third kind now. Calculate and estimate for the mean mass. Now, to find the mean mass, we have to use the formulas. So not really a formula, but as you can see, mean mass is the summation divided by the number of potatoes. So pretty easy. Let me try this here. So we can do this. Because we have a range, as you can see, 80 to 100, we have to find the midpoints of those values. It will be 90, and here will be what? Will be that will be 110, that will be 125, the midpoints, 135, and this is, what is this one? Let's check. So 140 plus 200 divided by 2, that will be 170. Okay, so now we have to multiply. This is the x value. I'll call this x. So we have to take x multiplied by f, the frequency, so sum of fx, that will be what? So 90 times 1 times 10 plus 110 times 15 plus 125 times 42 plus 135 times 36 plus 170 times 17, that will give you 15550 divided by the number of potatoes, that will give you the median, which is 129.58. I like to write 3SF, so that will be 130 for the median mass of the potatoes. Okay, so let me double check because sometimes I make those small mistakes when I multiply. So let me try again. So 90 times 10 plus 110 times 15 plus 125 times 42 plus 135 times 36, 170 times 17. Okay, seems to be okay. So in that case, that should be your answer for the mean mass. Now for part C, definitely if you hear the noise outside, is I live downtown, so there's many things happening over here, so I apologize for that, but no worries. Let's continue with the questions. A bag of potatoes has a mass of 2.5 kg. Okay, correct to the nearest 100 grams. As you can see, here we have grams, so the wise thing to do is to convert this to grams. So 1 kg is 1000 grams, so that will be 2500 grams. Now, bag of potatoes are packed into a box. The mass of a box is 600 gram, correct to the nearest 10 gram. Okay, calculate the upper bound of the total mass in kg, okay, afterwards, of a box containing 10 of these bags of potatoes. Now, before we do this, let's first find the upper and lower bounds of these two things. So, for the bag of potatoes, we know this is the reading. We have to plus minus this nearest divided by 2 for the upper and lower bound. That will be, so 2500 plus, this will be 50, that will be 2550, or it can be 2450, so for the minus. So this will be the upper bound, this is the lower bound value, okay? Now we have to do the same thing for the mass of the box. So let's say box, the reading is 600 plus minus 10 divided by 2. So let's try this. So 600 plus 5, that will be 605 obviously, and that will be 595 for the lower bound, upper bound, lower bound. Now we have these numbers. We want to find the upper bound of the total mass in kg. So eventually we have to convert back to kg of a box containing 10 of those bags. So basically the total mass will be 10 of those bags times the upper bound of the potato sacks and also the mass of the box, so we can find the total mass. That will be 10 times 2550 plus 605, that will be 26105. This is grams. Converting back to kg, we have to divide by 1000, that will be 26.105 for your answer. That will be a question. Let's move on to question number 3. So in triangle PQR, we have PR as 7.5 centimeters and the QR as 6 centimeters. Now question is to construct the triangle PQR, so we have to use a ruler and a compass. So I can't find my ruler, so let me use my set squares to measure the length of 7.5 first. So that will be 75 millimeters, which is 7.5 centimeters. That is PR. Now, using this length going to my point P, I have to draw an arc in this direction. Okay, that should be something like that. Now, next step, I have to measure 6 centimeters. So let's do that. That will be 60 millimeters. So that will be right here. Then going to my point Q, I will have to connect these two. Okay, as you can see, I have a point of intersection. So that will be my point. So this is R. Now by joining these two, okay, so now we have our triangle PQR. Okay. If you measure this length and this length, this is 7.5 and this should be 6. 6 and 7.5. Now one thing here we can try is, let's measure this length. What is this length? What is the length of PQ? So according to the scale, it shows to be 8. So 8 centimeters for the length of PQ. Okay, so now for part 2, by taking suitable measurements from your triangle, calculate the area of triangle PQR. Now, there's many ways to find the area. We know a few formulas, but for this one, let me just do this. What I can do here is I can find the height of the triangle. So, by measurement, so what is the height? Let's measure. So if you measure, from what I can see, my height shows to be about 5.4 centimeters. Okay, so how do you find the area of a triangle? It's half times base, which is 8, and times height, which is 5.4. So let's find out. So that will be half times 8 times 5.4. That should be 21.6 centimeters square, correct to 3SF. Now that is one way of doing that. Now if you want to, you can also do this. It is up to you. You can measure the angle here, which is, let me check. So going to this point. This is the harder way. I would not advise to do so, but if you want to, it seems to be the angle size is 46. So I know this is 46. So I can use my other formula, which is half times the 2 side times 8 times 7.5 and times sine of the angle in between. That should also give me about the same answer. Let's check. Half times 8 times 7.5 times sine of 46. Give me 21.58, which is the same thing for my area of triangle. So let me write this down. It shows to be 21.6 centimeters square for the area of this triangle by measurements. This is triangles again, okay. Now the diagram shows two triangles. AB is 9.7, BC is 6.4, CD is 3.8, and AC is 5.3. Okay. Now this is the angle given to us. Now what else can we have? Let's see. So first thing we have to calculate the angle DAC. So DAC. So we have to find this angle. So pretty easy. If you observe, you can just look at this triangle. Triangle DAC. You know this angle. We know this side. We know this side. We want to find this angle. So we have to use the sine rule, right? So that will be sine of the angle A over the opposite side will be 3.8. So this is a formula you have to know for your exams. And here we have sine of this angle, which is 63. And opposite side will be 5.3. So write down 5.3. So basically we have to solve for the angle A. So sine of A will be what? Take this, multiply here, you will have sine of 63 multiplied by 3.8. So sine of 63 multiplied by 3.8 divided by 5.3. That will be 0.6388. So angle A will be sine inverse of that value. That will be 39.7 degrees. So this is the angle that I have for angle A by using the sine rule. So this is 39.7. Okay. Now let's move on to part 2. We have to find the angle ABC. So ABC, find this angle. So in this case, again, let's look at this triangle by itself. So ABC, you can see that we know all the three sides and we want to find this angle. We have to use the cosine rule. Okay, so cosine rule of the angle B, that will be 6.4 square plus 9.7 square minus 5.3 square. So how do I know this? This is a formula you have to know for cosine rule. Okay, it is nothing magic here, it is just a formula you have to know. Okay, that'll be 6.4 and 9.7. So let's solve this. 6.4 square plus 9.7 square minus 5.3 square divided by 2 times 6.4 times 9.7. That will be this. So cos of B is 0.861. Now cos inverse, that will be 30.5 for your value of angle B. So that will be 30.5 for part 2. Now let's move on to question number 4. So here we have to complete the table for this equation, y equals to 4/5 times 2 power x. So very easy. Just replace the value of x here in this one. So you will have what? 2 power minus 3 will be this times 4/5. That will be 0.1. So y will be 0.1. That is 1 mark, done. Now for part 2, we have to draw the graph. So again, we have to use the points and let's mark them on the graph. The first point is minus 3, 0.1. That will be this one. Then we have minus 2, 0.2. That should be this one. Minus 1, 0.4. That will be here. And that'll be 1, 1.6. 2, 3.2. 3 will be 6.4. 6.4 will be right here. Now again, I'm using a pen to draw this graph. I usually use a pencil, of course, and make sure that the graph is as smooth as possible. It's smooth, I mean it should be in one go. It at least looks like in one go, you know, not in pieces. So mine is, let's hope it's good. Joining those two, and let's see what happens here. Okay, it doesn't look too bad. So that should be your graph for part B, and label your graph as y equal to 4/5 times 2 power x. That will be part B. Now let's move on to part C of the question. So by drawing a tangent, okay, so we have to draw a tangent. We have to estimate the gradient when x equal to 2. So pretty easy. Go back to x equal to 2 on the graph, which is this point, right, this point. So here we have to draw a tangent. Our tangent is a line that touches the graph at this one point. So let's try your best to draw the line. So for example, here I will have something like this. This is my tangent. Your tangent may be a bit different, but you get the idea. It needs to touch the point at x equal to, actually I got the wrong point. It says 2. Okay, this is minus 2, not this one, to go to 2. Okay, so again, not this one, have to go here. Touches the point at exactly this point, the curve. So this is my tangent. Now I have to use this line to find the gradient, so pretty easy. I just have to find one point on top and one point below, so let me try. You can choose any point, it is up to you. For me, let me try this one. And then I can choose this one. I have 2 points. So this point is what? It is 1, it is 2.95, and this one will be 1.1. So I have 2 points to help me find my gradient. So let's do that. So right now I have 2 points. Let me write this down. So 1.1. Now, of course, your points can be different, but it should not be a problem. It depends on how you draw your tangent. Now, we have to find the gradient. So gradient will be the formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So 5 minus 1.1 divided by 2.9 minus 1. That will be 2.05 correct to 3SF for my gradient. So the point here is that we have to basically show your work and show that you understand of how to find the answer. Now again, my answer may be different from yours, but it's not a problem. You have to show your work on how to find the answer. Now part D, use a graph to estimate the solution for this. Okay, so now if you observe, how can we estimate the solution for this? So going back to the equation that is given to you, if you have y equal to 4 over 5 times 2 power x. Now this is the equation of the curve. So usually they will test you on that to see what would you do. But if you observe, here we have 2 power x, but here we also have 2 power x. So we can make this become the subject of formula. So 2 power x will be 5y over 4. Now replace this back in this equation. So you will have what? 4 times 5y over 4 equal to 5. So simplify. That will be cancel, cancel. And that is cancel, cancel. So y equal to 1. So basically we have to draw this line, y equal to 1 on the graph. Okay, so pretty easy. The y graph is horizontal, so let's do that. So that will be at this point equal to 1. So we just have to see where does it cut my curve at this line. So this is my line that I need to draw, y equal to 1, and this gives me the value. So of course this is my graph. It shows that it cuts the graph here. It should be 0.4 for my answer. Now your answer may be 0.5, 0.3, but you get the idea. The point is you have to know what to do to find the answer. So estimation will be 0.4 for my answer. Correct to 3SF. Now this is part D, question number 4. So now let's move on to question number 5. So here we have a diagram shows a garden shed positioned on a horizontal ground. So it means on a flat surface. Okay. Now it is in the shape of a prism with a trapezium ABCD. So ABCD is a trapezium. Now we have this as the cross section. That is something good to know for this question. Now the base of the shed, which is ABFE, is a rectangle. So it means that this and this is the same, this and this is the same, and the angle inside is 90, 90, and 90. Okay, now for part A, we have to calculate the volume of the shed. So pretty easy. We know that volume of a prism is equal to the area of the cross section, right, multiplied by the length of the prism. Now, as you can see, the length is already given to us by 2.1. This is the length of the prism. Now, what is the cross-section area? If you observe, it is the area of that trapezium, right? Now, how can you find the area of a trapezium? There's many ways. We can use a formula if you want to. Let me first draw this outside. That will be the trapezium will look something like that, right? So this is A, this is B, C, and D. This is 1.55, this is 2.25, and this is 1.85. So to find the area of a trapezium, I use my formula, which is half times sum of the parallel sides, which is 1.85 times 2.25, and times the height in between. The perpendicular height is 1.55. That should be the area of the, so half times 1.85 times 2.25 times 1.55. That should be 3.2259. Now we have replaced back in your main equation 3.2259 times 2.10. That will be what? 2.1, that should be 6.77 for the volume of the shed. Okay, that will be your answer. Correct your 3SF, meters cube. Now, where is that? Let's go back to the main diagram. CGHD. So CGHD. So the roof is painted. Now we know that this is a rectangle. This is also going to be a rectangle, right? So 1 liter of paint covers 2 square meters. So 2 square meters. Calculate the amount of paint used. So basically we have to find the area of this, of the shed, of the roof of the shed. So pretty easy, according to the diagram. This is given to us. This is CDHG. This is 2.1 given to us. And I think we have to find the length of CD. Because if you observe, we know this is 2.1, but we don't know what is this length. So let's look at this diagram. Okay, so we know this is what? This was found to be 2.25 minus 1.85, that is 0.4. The height is 1.55. You can find this by using your Pythagoras theorem. So let me make a drawing here. So I have my triangle, which I have derived from the shape itself, from the shape of the trapezium. That will be D and C. I have the height of 1.55. This is 0.4, and this is 90. Okay, so now we have to find CD by using the Pythagoras theorem. So CD square will be 1.55 square plus 0.4 square. Okay, that will be the value, and then square root, that will be CD has to be 1.60. Correct your 3SF. Okay, so that will be the one that we are looking for. So area will be 1.6, which is the width times the length, which is 2.1. 3.36 meters square. Okay, so now we have the area of the roof. Now we know that 2 meters square, you will have to use 1 liters. Now for 3.36 meters square, we have to use 1 divided by 2 times 3.36. So let's try that. Half times 3.36, that will be 1.68. So basically we have to use 1.68 liters for painting the roof. Now part C, calculate the angle of elevation of D from F. So let's observe. So of D from F, F is here. So basically we have to, let's see what can we do. We have to first join those two to know exactly what are we looking for. So join these two, and let's join these two as well. Okay, so we're trying to find this angle. This is the angle of elevation that we need to find. Now we have to look out for something. So we know this height, this is 90, right? We know we want to find this, but we can find this length. Let's call this x. We have to first find the length of AF, which is x. Let me make a drawing here again. So basically, right now we have this, we have this, This join, this will be the point F, this is the point A, and this is the point D. By trying to find this angle, this is the 90 degrees, this is 2.25. So we have to find, to find this, we have to find one of the length. We can see that we can find this length from the diagram. So on the diagram, if you observe, we have another triangle here, ABF. This is 90. It is on the ground, it is 90, it is a rectangle, that's why. And we have this and this, so you can find this by using the Pythagoras theorem. So let's try that. X squared will be what? 1.55 squared plus 2.1 squared. That will be 6.8125. Okay, so which means square root, that will be 2.61. So we have realized that this is 2.61 for AF. Now, to find this angle, we have to use SOHCAHTOA to decide which trig to use. So this is the A side, this is the opposite side, so we have to use tan. So tan of alpha is the this side, opposite side, 2.25 over 2.61. And tan inverse of that to find the answer. So alpha, which is the angle of elevation, in my case shows to be 40.8 degrees for my answer. So 40.8 degrees for the answer. Okay, so that will be 0.5. Let's move on to question number 6. So here we have to solve the equation, the inequality. So let's make x become the subject of formula. So let's send all the x to one side. You will have 6x plus 2x more than 5 plus 7. That will be 8x more than, what is that? Should be 12, but let's check. I always doubt myself with plus and minus. It is 12. X will be 12 divided by 8. That should be what? 1.5. So x is more than 1.5. That is your answer for part 1, part A. Part B, Chen buys 4 notebooks and 3 pens for this, and Liu buys 2 notebooks and 5 pens for $14. So we have to solve a simultaneous equation. So pretty easy. The idea here is, let's call notebook X, so notebook, let's call them X, and pens, let's call them Y. For the first equation, Chen buys 4 notebook and 3 pens for $17.50. And for the second equation, Liu buys 2 notebooks and 5 pens for $14. So as you can see, now we have 2 equations. We just have to solve to find x and y. So let's make 2x become subject. 2x will be 14 minus this. Okay, now if you observe, what is 4x? 4x is 2 times 2x. So I can replace 2x by this. So you will have 2 times 2x plus 3y is 17.5. That will be 28 minus 10y plus 3y is 17.5. Now let's solve. You will have minus 7y. 17.5 minus 28, that will be minus 10.5. Y will be divided by minus 7, that will be 1.5. That is y. Now 2x will be 14 minus 5, this. That will be 6.5. 2x will be 6.5, so x will be divided by 2, that will be 3.25. So as you can see, your answer, the notebook is x, that will be 3.25, and the pen is 1.5 for your answer. That will be part B of the question. Now part C, we have to show the left hand side can become this one. So one by one, let's first simplify this side. So as you can see, we have 2 fractions and the base are different. We have to make them become the same base. So first, Let's multiply them by each other. You will have x plus 2 multiplied by x minus 5. Then cross multiply, you will have x times x minus 5. Here we have minus, so minus, and 3 times x plus 2. Simplify, you will have x squared minus 5x minus 3x minus 6 over, expand this one, that will be x squared minus 5x plus 2x minus 10. Now, okay, now you can expand this. So you don't need to do it like me. You can always expand this step by step and write this down, okay? No big deal. That should be x squared minus 8x minus 6 over x squared. That should be minus 3x minus 10. Okay, so this is equal to 4. So we have to cross multiply. You will have x squared minus 8x minus 6 is 4x squared minus 12x minus 40. Simplify, let's send everything to one side. You will have 4x squared minus 1, that will be 3x squared, minus 12 plus 8, that will be minus 4x, minus 40 plus 6, that should be minus 34 is 0. And this is shown as required. Now for part 2, we have to solve the equation. Now you can see it is asking you for your answer to 2 decimal places, so you know you have to use the formula. X is minus b, which is 4, plus minus b squared is 16 minus 4 times a times c, divided by 2a, which is 2 times 3. So simplify 4 plus minus root of what? 16 times, so minus 4 times a times c, 424. So 424 divided by 6. So first is 4 plus root of 424 divided by 6. That should be 4 point. So correct to 2 decimal place, 4.10. That's my first answer. And then the other one will be 4 minus root of 424 divided by 6, minus 2.77 to 2 decimal place. So let me test this again, because sometimes I tend to make those stupid mistakes, but let me try again. That should be giving me this value. Okay, sounds good. In that case, x will be minus 277, 4.10. So the reason why I don't verify marking schemes is because I do realize, right now it is kind of useless to actually look at marking schemes. So what's the point? Because if you're doing some exam questions, you're supposed to understand on how to do those questions instead of just looking at the marking schemes. Doesn't make sense. So I would say right now, when you're doing those papers, focus on the how-tos instead of just the answers, because on the exam itself, you don't have a marking scheme, right? You have to actually know how to do the questions. That's the main point. Anyways, let's move on to question number 7. So part A, we have what? So here we have a circle. We have the point A, B, C, D are points on the circle. So as you can see, A, B, C, D touches the circle. That's the thing we have to derive. Okay. Now, this is 68, this is 52. We have to find the angle of CBO, CDO, CD. So we have to find this one. So first thing first, what can we do? If you observe, this is the radius. This is also the radius. So we know this is the same. Now, what else can we do? So something we can observe is that we know by a theorem, the angle at the center will always be twice the angle at the surface. So which means this has to be twice of this. 68 times 2, that will be 136. So how do you know when can we use this theory? So this is because if you observe the angle O, right, it has the arc DB, the angle O, but also the angle A also have the same arc DB. So that's when they lie on the same arc, we can use this theory. Okay, so that's one of the conditions we have to know before using that angle at the center is twice the angle at the circumference. That's the first step. Now, we also observe that the question tells us that A, B, C, D, they are points on the circle. So we have to use this somewhere, right? Because why would it tell us that information? Now, if you observe, we have this angle here. We can find this because we know that if they touches the circle, the opposite angles would add up to 180. So which means angle C is 180 minus 60. That will be 112. So to find this one is pretty easy. If you observe, we have a shape OBCD, which is a four-sided shape. So the sum of the angle will be coming down to 360. So this will be 360 minus 52 minus 136 minus 112. That should be 60 degrees. So the angle D will be 60 degrees for your answer for part A. Now let's move on to part B of the question. So the cross-section of a solid A is a sector of a circle of radius 6. So here it is also 6 of radius 6. The angle 40 and the height is 5. Part 1, find the total surface area of A. So we have to find the surface area of A. Okay, so let's see how can we find the surface area. So let's do one by one. So first let's find the top surface. So top surface is what? It is the area of a sector, which is the angle over 360 times pi r square. Pi r square is 6 square. Now, after you observe, this and the base are the same. So we have to multiply by 2. Plus we have this surface, this and the other side. So what is this surface? This is 6. This also will have to be 6. So that will be 5 times 6. It is a rectangle. Multiply by 2 because it is top. So not top, but the front and the back surface as well. And then finally, we have to find this surface, right? This surface on the back. That will be the length of the length of the arc given by 40 degrees over 360 times 2 pi r. R is 6. This is the formula you have to know for length of arc and area of circle. So you have to know that. And then once you have the length, you have to multiply by the height to find the area of that curved surface. So if you count, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 surface. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 surface to add. So 40 divided by 360 times pi times 36 times 2. That will be 25.1327 plus, this is 2 times 5 times 6, that will be 16, plus, that will be 40 divided by 360 times 2 pi times 6 times 5, that should be 20.9439. 20.94395. So let's add everything together. That should be this plus 25.1327 plus 60. That should be 106.076. So of course you will write your answer correct to 3SF. That should be 106 centimeters square for the total surface area. Now for part B, a solid B is similar. Okay, so similar, we have to use similarity to for this part of the question. It is similar to A. The ratio of the volume is 27 to 1. Okay, so again, so volume of A compared to volume of B is 27 to 1. But now if you observe, what is the unit of volume? It is centimeter cube. Okay, but now you want to find the ratio of their area. What is the unit of area? It is centimeter square. So one of the ways I like to do is I like to first find the ratio of the side, centimeter. So to change that to centimeter, we have to apply cube root. So applying cube root on 27, and cube root on 1, you will have 3, 1. This is the ratio of their sides. But now again, we are only interested in the surface area. So the ratio of their area will be what? Will be, have the square, right? Because area is centimeter square. So centimeter to square, we have to square these two. That will be 9 to 1. Okay, so now we have the ratio, we can find the answer because we know that the area of A was found to be 106 and this was 9, right? We want to find 1, so we have to, 1 will be 106 divided by 9. That should be 11.8. So 11.8 will be the surface area will be correct to 3SF. Let's move on to question number 8. So a bag contains 36 balls. There are n red balls in the bag. The rest of the balls are green. Now, let's see. So basically we have 36. We have n red. And the rest is green, which is 36 minus n are green. That's what we are given. Now, Esther take 2 balls from the bag without replacement. Now, part 1, we have to complete the tree diagram. So pretty easy. Let's see. What do we have? This is one is done here. How about this one? For the first ball, I take green, will be this one. You take red, will be n over 35. And then take green, will be, so we have to minus 1 again. That will be 35 minus n over 35. That will be part A. Now part B, write the expression in terms of n for the chance that Esther's first ball is red and her second ball is green. So red and green. Red is n over 36, right? And green will be this one, times 36 minus this over 35. So let's simplify. You will have what? 36 n minus n squared over 1260. That will be your answer for part B. Now for part C, let's see what we have. The chance that the first ball is red and the second ball is green, so which is this one, is 1 over 7. So we have 36n minus n squared over 1260 is 1 over 7. Now let's see what can we do to express this as this. So first step, as you can see, we have to cross multiply. You will have 7 times this. So 36 times 7, that will be 252 n minus 7n squared, that will be 1260. Now let's try to divide by 7 everywhere. I don't know why I did that, so let's divide by 7 now. You will have, so you will have back 36 minus n squared, and that should be 180. Let's check. So 1260 divided by 7 should be 180. Now let's send everything to one side. You will have n squared minus 36 n plus 180 is 0. This is shown as required. So basically the idea here, we should have just sent this over here, leave this the same. You will have 1 over 7 multiplied by 1260, which will be 180. So I guess I shouldn't have done this step for nothing, but you will have this as your answer. Now for part D, we have to solve the equation. So let's see. We can try to factorize. Up to you. You can use your formula if you want to. No big deal. So n is n times n. 180. 180, what is 180? 180 is, let's see, 180 is divided by 2. That will be 90. So let's see, let's find the factors. 180 is 2 times 90. Let's divide by 3. That will be 3 times 60. Divide by 6. So 6, that will be 30. As you can see, we can use that one, right? Because if you put 30 here and 6, this is minus 36, has to be minus 30, minus 6. Now minus times minus is plus, and here we have plus, so this is good. So n can be 30, n can be 6. Okay, now let's move on. So part E, we have there are more green balls than red balls in the back. So okay, so at first we had what? We have 36 balls. It is given to us that we had n red balls and we had the rest was green balls. Now given that, so this is 6 and 30, given that there's more green balls, so there's more green balls, so we have to take n to be 6, right? Because in that case you will have 6 red balls and then 30 green balls. So we don't take n to be 30, because if you take n to be 30, you will have 30 red balls and 6 green. But if we are supposed to have more green balls than red balls, so it will not be possible with this. We have to take n as 6. Okay. Now we have to find the chance that Esther takes 2 green balls. So okay, look, going back to your diagram, taking 2 green will be this and this, so pretty easy. So 2 green balls will be what? So that will be, first ball is green, okay, that will be 30 over 36. Second ball is green will be 29 over 35. 30 divided by, so over 36 times 29 over 35. That should be 29 over 42. Okay, that will be your answer for part E. Now let's move on to question number 9. So h is the 0.52, j is the -36. So we have to find the direction of hj. So pretty easy, this will be oj minus oh, which is oj is -36 and oh is 5.2. That should be -8 and 4. Okay, so that will be your answer for this one. Okay, so oj is the same as j, oh is the same as h. Okay, it's just a point in terms of vector. You write this in this way. Now the reason why hj is oj minus oh and not oh minus oj. Also, I have explained this in one of the videos already. If you just type in why is this vector this way, ab is ob minus oa, you will find a video to explain why we have this equal to this. Anyways, the idea here is that you will always put the second one first and then the first one after. Okay, that's the idea. Anyways, part 2, calculate the magnitude of this. So we have to use the formula. Magnitude of hg, that will be square root. First value square will be 64. This value square will be 16. That will be square root. That will be 80. So that will be the magnitude. You can always simplify. That should be about 8.94. If you want to, you can write 8.94 units as well, but exact value will be this one. Now for point 3, m is a midpoint of hj. Find the position vector of m. So find om. So the idea here is that we have h and j here, and here we have m. So pretty easy. So how do you find om? Om is the position vector. So let's say O is here. So you want to find om. Okay, om will be this direction. So to find om, we first have to go OH, and then from H going to M. Okay, so OM will be OH plus HM. Okay, so let's do that. So OH, as we know, it is given to us by 5, 2. What is HM? We know HJ is -8, 4. Because M is a midpoint, so that should be half of that, so -4, 2. HM will be -4, 2. That will be 5 minus 4 is 1. That should be 4. So OM is 1, 4. That will be the answer for part 3. Now let's move on to part B of the question, number 9. Now, the diagram shows a shape made from 7 identical equilateral triangles. So you know that when you have an equilateral triangle, all the sides are the same. That's something good to know. Now we have OA, which is this direction, is P, and OF, which is this direction, is Q. So which means, since all the sides are of the same length, I can derive that GB also has to be P, FG also has to be P because it is the same direction, right? And these two have to be the same as well. So that's the basic things we can derive from that information. Anyways, so that's not the question yet. Let's see what do we have. So part A, we have to find FB. Okay, to find FB, we have to start from F, go to B. So F going to B, we have to FG, GB, which is, since this is P and P, because this is P, right? So FG is P, GB is also P. That will be 2P as your answer. Now, next one is FE. From the point F, going to E. F, to go to E, we have to go FG, GE. Now, GE is the same direction as this one. This also will be Q. So FE will be P plus Q. That will be part 1. Now for part 2, X is a point on FP, and Fx and XB, which is the ratio of those two, is 3 to 1. Okay, so go back to the diagram. Basically, we have a point X about here, right? So the ratio of Fx is 3 to 1. It is given to us. Now we have to find OX. So let's do that. So first thing, let's just join those two. So from O, let's join to X. Okay, so we have to find the vector in this direction. Now, how can you move from O to X? So we have to move from O to F, F to P. So OX will be OF plus FP. Now, of course, that is one of the way of doing that question. There's of course many other ways of doing that, because we can just find, say, OGGP, for example. So there's many ways of finding the answer. Now, OF is what? It is this direction. That will be Q. And what is FP? F going to P. If you observe, if you go here, it tells you the ratio of, so it is not FP. FP, P is a direction. My mistake here. It is the point X, that should be X. P is just the direction, X is the point. Okay, so how do you find Fx? Going back to this one, we can see the ratio of Fx over Xb is 3 to 1, which means Fx is 3 over 4 of Fb. But if you don't understand this, no big deal. Let's make a drawing here. So we have FB, right? FB. X is here. This is 3. This is 1. This is given to you, right? So we know that together, the whole thing will be 3 plus 1 is 4. So the ratio is Fx over Fb should be what? Fx is 3. Fb is 4. So we have this. Now to find Fx, we can just do 3 over 4 times Fb. As you can see, we know the value of Fb here. You will have 3 over 4 times 2p. Cancel, cancel. That will give you 1.5p for the value of Fx. Now let's write this back here for the Fx. So we conclude that Ox is 1.5p plus q. Okay, so let's write this down. So when it comes down to vectors, always use the diagram. It is really important. Okay. Now for part 3, we have a point y that we don't know on BD. Okay, so this is BD, right? So y is somewhere on that line. Now we say it gives us a quad. OXYF is a trapezium. Okay, so what do you guys know about trapezium? So trapezium, we know that it has this height and it must have a shape like this with two sides which are parallel. So we know this is the regular shape of a trapezium. So let's first try our best to draw this on the diagram. So this is the height here. Now OXY, y is somewhere over here, and F has to be a trapezium. So by observation, I can say that this has to be parallel with FY, right? Because Y has to be somewhere over BD. So let's say it's here. This is Y. Now if you join these 2 points, XY, if you observe, it should give you a trapezium with these two sides are parallel. Okay, so that forms a trapezium by knowing that Y is on the BD line. Now question is, we have to find what? We have to find XY. So how can you find XY? Let's observe. Go back to your diagram. From X, we have to go to Y. X, we can first go to O. O, we can go to F, and F to Y. So let's write this down. To find XY, according to the diagram, I can see that I have to X going to O, O going to F, and finally F going to Y. So this I know. XO is the inverse of OX. OX is this, so XO will be minus this, right? That should be. And OF is Q, and FY we don't know yet. So if you simplify, what should you have? Let's see. These two will cancel out, so you will have minus 1.5p plus Fy. That is what you have for now. So you have to find Fy. Now, if you observe, we can see that Fy and OX, we say they are parallel. So we can form an equation from that. So let me write this down. So if we know there's two lines which are parallel to each other, for example, this is line L, this is line N, we can say that N is a multiple, which is a constant, times L. So if they are parallel, we can have an equation like this. Now same way, we can see that OX and so F, this is Fy, and OX, they are parallel because we know they form a trapezium, right? That's why. So we can form an equation like this. We can say Fy is a multiple of OX. Now we know OX is given by what? By 1.5p plus Q. That was found from the question part 1. Now, I would advise to draw something here so you can understand what's happening, right? So going back to the diagram, so how do you move from O to X? So as we have seen, we move 1.5p in this direction. This is 1p. So 1.5p will be, this is 1p should be this, so half p should be somewhere here. Let's say should be somewhere around here, right? Let's say, let me measure this. So this shows to be 1, 2, something 2. So let me say it should be half, let's say somewhere about here. Okay, this is 1.5q, for example. So this is 1.5q, and then from that point, it moves, so it moves 1q down. So q is this direction, right? So we have to be parallel with that. So q should be somewhere over here. Okay, so this is 1.5p and this is 1q. Okay, great. So now we have a drawing of how we have OX. From O going to move by 1.5p in this direction, and then Q will be 1Q in this direction. Now, because these two lines are parallel, we have to move somewhat in the same way from F to Y. So as you can see, from F, we have to move to the point of B, right? Because that is the only way we can have these two parallel. Has to move in the same way. So parallel move. And because we know that Y is on the line BD, it has to stop at B. So what can we conclude here? We find out that Fy is what? Fy is Fb plus By. So that's based on the drawing and understanding that they are parallel, we have derived this. Now we have to use this to find the answer. Okay, so let's write this down. So from here we have Fy is Fb, so Fb is 2p plus By. By we don't know, but we know that By is the same direction as this vector, right? Because they need to be parallel. So we just don't know what is the coefficient of this one. Let's not use k, let's use something else. Let's use m. The value of q. This is Fy. So now I can replace in my equation. So I have 2p plus mq is equal to k times Ox. Ox is 1.5 p plus q. Now we can expand. You have 2p plus mq is 1.5k p plus kq. So now we have to compare the coefficients. So let's do that. So this is 2 here, this is 2. So we conclude 2 should be 1.5k, which means k has to be 2 divided by 1.5. That will be 1 over 3, which is 4 over 3. That is the value of k. Now, compare this again, this with this, right? Coefficient of q. M has to be k, so m have to be 4 over 3. So from this we conclude that Fy is equal to 2p plus 4 over 3q. So now we have Fy. Now using this, going back to the main thing, which is xy, we have to do minus 1.5p plus Fy. So let's do that. So xy is minus 1.5p plus Fy. That should be minus 1.5p plus 2p plus 4 over 3q. That should give you plus 0.5p plus 4 over 3q, which is the same as 1 over 2p plus 4 over 3q as your answer for xy. Okay, so I did go in depth of explaining this question, so I hope that that's kind of helpful in finding this value. That will be question number 9. Okay, so now let's move on to the last question, question number 10. So we have f of x given to you by this equation, and then g of x given to you by this equation as well. So here we have to find f of minus 4. So replace x by minus 4, 3 minus 2 minus 4 divided by 5. That will be 3 plus 8 over 5. That will be 11 over 5. So 11 divided by 5 should be 2.2. So 2.2 is your answer for part A. Now for part B, we have to find f inverse. So as always, first step is to let y is f of x, which is 3 minus 2x over 5. Now we have to make x become the subject of formula. So cross multiply, 5y will be 3 minus 2x. So 2x will be what? 3 minus 5y. So x will be 3 minus 5y divided by 2. So finally, we conclude that f inverse, it is in terms of x, we have to change the y to x over 2. That is f inverse. Now for part C, g of p is equal to f of p plus 1, find the value of p. So pretty easy, just replace the values in the equation. So g of p will be p minus 7 over 4 is f of p plus 1. So 3 minus 2, p plus 1 over 5. Now we just have to cross multiply. 5p minus 35 is 12 minus 8p plus 1. Now simplify, so 5p minus 35, that will be 12 minus 8p minus 8. Send the 8 to this one, you have 5p plus 8p, that will be 12 minus 8 plus 35. So this will be 5 plus 8, that will be 13. And here we have 12 minus 8 plus 35 should be 39. So P will be 39 divided by 13, that should be 3. So 3 will be your answer for part C of question number 10. So that was the last question of this paper. I hope that was somewhat helpful. As always, thank you for watching. I will see you soon.